You were listening to episode 177 of the Game Deflators Podcast. My name's John, and I'm joined by Ryan.
Hey everybody, here at the Game Deflators Podcast, we like to talk about games we've recently picked up, games we're currently playing, and Zoda Americola. It all makes me thirsty in this week's Inflation Deflation Challenge.
So this week we played a little bit of Star Tropics on the NES. We'll get deep into that in our, what do we call it, Ryan? Our inflation deflation? Yeah, our inflation deflation. We'll get into that then.
Deflation Challenge.
Inflation deflation. So pretty big week, I think, for myself here. Ryan, I see you got like just about nothing this week, but we always start for new pickups. And I finally got a PlayStation 5.
Woo! Yeah! Much applause. Now everybody dump on him because he hasn't even turned it on yet.
No, I had to charge controllers, dude, and hook it up. I didn't actually hook it up till like, I don't know, 10 o'clock at night. So it was just one of those things we didn't boot it up. But I will say that there's a couple Twitter pages out there that I was following during the week to kind of get an idea of when drops were actually occurring and like when and where and all that good stuff. And so there was one YouTuber, like, I'm not kidding you, dude. This was actually pretty cool. So Amazon was supposed to be doing a drop for a physical edition, like where you could put the discs in for the $500 version. And he was literally streaming from the morning up until about 5 or 6 p.m. Eastern, so that anybody that was listening in on the stream, whenever it dropped, he would let people know, hey, it's dropped. Go ahead and start trying to buy it now. So that way you didn't have to like sit there and keep refreshing and wait. It was just, I could basically, while I was working, I had it in the background. So just in case he's like, it's live, then I could, be like, okay, cool, let me go in. But ultimately, Amazon didn't do a drop. Target was supposed to do a drop on the 1st. They ended up not doing it for some reason. I don't think they did a drop at all, unless it came out today. Mm-hmm. And then GameStop apparently was doing an in-store thing. So I was like, screw it. I'll pay the like $20 for the pro membership, whatever it is, because you get physical magazines with that. So I'm like, I at least get a magazine subscription tied to it for a year. And then on top of that, I get like the $10 that I can use for anything in store, and then like $5 a month. I'm like, screw it. Like, I'll just do that. And I just bit the bullet on that, which I didn't want to do, but ultimately it was the easiest way to get one. And then I sat in front of a GameStop at 7:30 in the morning until they opened at 10 and just played on my phone and looked up Magic the Gathering's standard meta stuff for like several hours and just watched videos on Facebook. Like, that's all I did. And eventually it was crazy, dude. Like, it was actually pretty organized how GameStop did it. So there was a line obviously forming. I was number 9. People had called up in advance to see how many they would have. And apparently this location had 18 in stock, 16 of the $500 and then 2 of the digital version. And so the only downside is GameStop forces a bundle on you because they're like, screw it, you're going to buy it anyways. So we're going to force a bundle, which sucks. But at least my bundle contained the actual PlayStation. It has a charging dock. That's an official Sony product, charging dock, an extra controller, and then Gran Turismo was tied to that. And then I'm going to just return Gran Turismo. Didn't it have
Forbidden West in it too?
It did, yeah. It had Horizon in there as well. So it was nice. I mean, I got the 2 controllers because I would have bought a controller anyways. At some point, I would have bought a docking station for my controls to charge. So that makes sense. And then at some point, I would be buying Horizon. I'm debating if I want to return Horizon as well or sell it, because I'm not going to play it anytime soon. So like, I might as well get full value and some credit to put towards other games that have gone down in value. Like Oddworld, for example, is on PS5, and I think it's like $15-20. So like, why keep Horizon if that's a game that I can grab theoretically? So that's kind of what I was looking at there. But overall, it was super organized with all the people that were there. The manager came out and handed everybody a slip of paper saying, hey, here's your point in line. Here's what you got. I'll come out in 30 minutes, see if anybody else is here, and then give that to them as well. And then it sucked because there were like some people that came like right at 10. And God, I felt so bad. There was this one guy that came with his son, and he gets in line and he's like, oh yeah, I should have one for you. So this couple that rolled up earlier, of course, they were like, I don't know, number 13 or 14 in line. He's like, oh, you two are together? And like, no, we're separate. And so they got 2. I'm like, nice. Really? You guys are going to be flipping that, like, for sure. So it sucked because the little kid at the end, he and his dad get there, and they were the last ones that could not get one. They were
That's the
last in
worst.
line, and the kid had to walk away disappointed. I'm like looking at this couple. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like you guys rolled in together. You're holding hands the whole time, and you're like, no, we're separate. We're buying two. And this little kid walks away sad.
Who
Like,
stands in line holding hands for extended periods of time?
well, they came up holding hands.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's like, you guys are clearly not separate. You're clearly together, and you don't need multiple PlayStations. And this other guy was like, oh, I'm buying one for a friend. I'm like, no, you're not. Like, you're not coming here to buy one for a friend. So you did
I
have some
mean,
people.
maybe that's what a real friend would have done, John. Did you ever think about that?
Dropping 800 on somebody. I don't know, man. Yeah, we'll see.
I guess we're not really good friends, huh?
I don't know. Would you drop $800 for me on a PS5?
I mean, if I was in line for a PS5 and I was like, John, bro, do you want me to snag you one?
I mean, yeah, I guess that could work. That could work, Ryan. But this guy, like, purposely was like, I'm gonna come and wait for my friend in line and just get one, and it's limited to one. So I'm like,
Whoa. He was just getting one for a
it's
friend?
yeah,
Wow.
it's
That's a
limited.
super bro.
I know, and it's limited to like one per person. So like this couple, like I said, rolled up and were like, no, we're
Yeah.
separate, so they could get two. So that was kind of messed up. And then some lady rolled up at like 10:30, and everybody's getting them. She's like, oh, we just go in and get a paper. Like, no, it's sold out. She's like, oh, so everybody in line was like, why are you rolling up at like 10:30 for like the hottest item on the market still to try and get this PlayStation? Like, it doesn't work like that.
It seems
So
like they're at least becoming more abundant.
I mean, it kind of seems like they are, but at the same time, I don't know, because like they sold out within an hour.
Yeah, but I mean, like, overall, like, I think I saw like some numbers for like sales numbers in Japan or something, and they were up like a bunch of unit sales. Like, I think they're starting to be able to more efficiently move units or something.
I guess. I mean, I was
Maybe it
reading
has
an
to do
art.
with the changes. Maybe
I
like shrinking down that size of that heat sink or something has really boosted this performance. I don't know.
I don't know, because if you look at Microsoft and the Series X, like the Series X was available on Amazon all day for like next day pickup, and I think it's still available on Amazon.
I see
Um,
S's in the store like almost
yeah.
every time now, like just at a GameStop even.
Well, I've seen a Series X in the store as well. And Series X, you can find it all day long. It's not being scalped as heavily, but the
Yeah.
PlayStation 5 is still being scalped. And I think that's a huge part of it is so many people are buying extras because they can. And Sony cannot maintain that momentum of trying to put out more units and avoid these scalpers. Whereas Microsoft, I think, has done a good job of flooding the market at certain points of time. And I do wonder if some of that was Microsoft holding back a number of units and then just flooding the market all at once because there's only so much the scalpers are going to buy.
Well, I think that I heard people saying that like one reason the Xbox might have been in such a short supply was because they were channeling a lot of those units for um their streaming service to upgrade so that everything's coming from a Series X as opposed to like, being provided older generations by older generations or something. So
Yeah.
that could have something to do with that. And then also I think I don't know, just in general, like so many people have like scalped and some of the anti-scalping things. Like there was another thing this week with like in Japan, they're like cutting some sticker or something. Like they're putting a sticker on there that's like a seal and then
Hmm.
cutting it. And the sticker is going to like rip that like nice finish off the box if you try to remove it, but it shows it as being open, you
Yeah.
know? So it's like effectively it's not a new product anymore, even though, it's still sealed in the bag inside, I guess. I don't
Interesting.
know. I don't know
Huh.
if that's really hugely going to impact,
I
but I
doubt it.
mean,
Well, and the other thing, so there was some guy on Twitter that was trying to argue with me yesterday when I posted a picture of the PS5, and he was like, "Don't tell me it's a shortage, and don't tell me, Sony has screwed this whole thing up, and blah blah blah," like just going off on it. I'm like, dude, I'm like, here's an article. It kind of clearly outlines like what the issue is, and he's in the UK, so he's like, I've got a shortage in the UK. I'm like, it's the same thing in the US, and it's the same thing globally. I'm like, it's kind of a global chip shortage. I said,
yeah,
have you tried to buy a microwave? Have you tried to buy a car? There's shortages all over. Like, I had to wait a month for a microwave. You know what that is? To wait a
really?
month. Yeah, because there's chips, dude. Like my wife on her car, she had to wait 3 months for her car to get shipped
Well,
in.
and cars have had like a whole thing for a while. I just didn't think microwaves. That's weird.
Dude, it's everywhere. Like anything that has some sort of chip, it's taken forever from the, supply chain constraints that have plagued, the world for the last couple of years, which yes, it's getting better and the chips are also getting better, but they're saying that because of that chip shortage and things that occurred, we're going to be experiencing this through 2022 and into 2023. So
Dang.
like people think like, oh, it's Sony that's messing up. It's like, no, it's all these companies are having issues. It's not just Sony. Now, how they weather the storm, yes, that's different. Maybe Sony didn't prepare in the same manner as Microsoft, but at the end of the day, there's other companies that are experiencing this as well. It's not just Sony exclusively.
Yeah.
Pun intended on exclusive. So yeah, that's really what it comes down to. But I will enjoy the PS5 here. I will boot it up at some point. Game Grinder already reached out to me and he's like, "Are you playing Elden Ring?" And I'm like, "I gotta play Ocarina of Time, so I gotta finish that up."
You have
So I'll get
all
into.
year to play Ocarina of Time, John.
I also have to play Majora's Mask, dude. You know how I am.
You
And
don't have to play Majora's Mask. I thought that was just like a stretch
no,
goal.
no, I didn't make that a stretch goal. I have to play it. And then on top of that, what's happening in September. So I really got to hammer this out.
Oh, well, I
So
mean, dude, it's so different for me now that I've already done my inflation deflation for the year. I've just got all this
now
time to
you
I
get to
didn't
see
even
it.
play video games this week hardly.
You get to see it from the other side now. Like you get to push me the entire year, which is great. So on top of the PS5, I also got Link's Awakening on the Switch. My wife really wanted to play it. She handed me the Game Boy game and she's like, uh, how do I play this handheld? I'm like, well, I have a DS line around here somewhere or a Game Boy Advance. She's like, no, I want to play it on a bigger screen. I was like, okay, well, we could play it on the Retron. So I put it in the Retron. She's like, I don't know if I want to play it here. I'd like the ability to just kind of like get up and play somewhere. And she had no idea it was on the Switch yet. So she boots it up on the Retron. It's full color and everything else, which I didn't realize was a thing. Like popped in a full Game Boy game and it's full color. And she's like, wow, it looks cute and everything, but I don't know if I want to play it on the Retron. Like, I don't know if I'm a fan of playing it on this console because of the control, plus, having to open it up and save states and all that. I was like, well, we could do Super Game Boy. So I pop it in Super Game Boy and it comes in like the, standard Game Boy
Yeah.
colors, like the black and white. And she's like, I'd prefer the Retron. And so she tried it on there for a little bit. And she's like, God, there's got to be another way to play this. And she found it on Switch. And she's like, we got to buy that.
The new
So
one?
the new one, yeah. So
Yeah, yeah.
she's
That
been
was
playing it.
fun.
Yeah, she really likes it. So yeah, you played it too, didn't you?
Yeah, I got it through GameFly for a little while.
Yeah, so she ended up playing that. That's what she's playing this week. And then for me, Ocarina of
You didn't get
Time.
the Zelda Game & Watch? That's gone there.
No, I never bought it on there. Or I never got it. I will at some point. It'll stay at the same price for a while. But as far as Ocarina of Time is concerned, because that's what I'm playing this week, I got to Death Mountain. I think it's Death Mountain. Yeah, that's where I'm at right now, which is like super early on, but I've been getting a feel for the controls, which is starting to feel a little more fluid to me. And story obviously isn't there yet for me because it's so early on, but I'm getting a good feel for it. I'm liking what I'm playing. I did some fishing in the lake, got my 10-pound fish and got my heart piece, and just kind of learning different tunes on my ocarina and going from there. So I got my shield, just hit Death Mountain, and I started to try and play it last night, but I was so tired from the yard work I did that I like sat down. I told my wife, I'm like, all right, hey, I'm gonna go play for however long until bed, and I had the full intention of playing till like midnight. And so I sat down, I got to Death Mountain, and then I found myself in a lava pit while nodding off. I'm like, yeah, I gotta go to bed.
Yeah,
So
I never made it all the way through Ocarina of Time. I got definitely stuck every time that I was trying to play, and it was mostly just kind of, I don't know, a lack of motivation to keep going. So I mean, I could definitely see if you're tired nowadays, it's not necessarily the most compelling game to keep you pushing forward. It's kind of a slow excitement.
yeah, and it was just like I just hear Link like or Navi like, hey. I'm like, what's
Yeah.
going on? I'm like, oh, I'm in lava. Let me just turn this off now. So it's all right. It's all right. Okay. Well, that's all I got going on, man. What did you pick up?
So I didn't buy anything. I did not get something this week.
Okay.
Meaning, I saw a review. I was kind of excited for Weird West. It was
Hmm.
announced a while ago. It's like an isometric RPG with like, it's kind of like set in like cowboys, but also has like zombies and werewolves and weird stuff. And I don't know, like I've always been interested in that genre, but I've not really played much in it. And then I guess the reviews just aren't super great. Like it doesn't have voice acting. It's just missing some things that would really probably be needed to hook me.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't get that game. Um I did play like just the tiniest bit more Tunic and the littlest bit more Elden Ring, but not really very much of either. Um I was hanging out with some friends yesterday though, and I played some Baba Is You, which is an amazing game.
Yeah,
If
I'd heard of that
anybody
one.
out there hasn't played it, you haven't heard of it?
I had heard of that one,
Okay.
but how was it? Like, I've heard the name and I've heard about it like from other
It's
people, but I've never dove into like what it actually is.
so it's super fun. It's like a like programming kind of game in a way. Like it teaches you kind of game logic. So like in the game, you are Baba is a rabbit, and Baba is you is a statement. So Baba
Mm.
is and you. And then there's all kinds of other things in the game like rocks. And it'll say like rock is push, meaning that if you go up to a rock, you can push that rock. Or
Ah,
door is shut, key is open, key is push. There's like one puzzle where it's like key is push, so you can push the key and you can push the key at the door, but it doesn't open the door unless you make key is open. But you need to
okay,
have it be key is open and key is push at the same time, because if it's just key is open, you can't push the key. You just walk on top of it. It's just like a movement by square based puzzle game, and you have to use the game logic to like, and in those phrases, so like those phrases are on the game screen. So like you go in and you move the is out between Baba and you, and you lose
mm-hmm.
control of the character because Baba is no longer you, so you no longer have control of your character.
Gotcha.
And it's weird. You like manipulate the pieces to make these puzzles be solved, and there's all kinds of different ways you can solve certain puzzles. uh there was this one puzzle where there's a like river in the middle of the screen, and then the flag is on one side of the screen and the flag is win, so usually you have to get to the flag to win.
Yeah.
And then on the other side of the screen there's two boulders and Baba is you. There's other phrases like that are in a lot of levels, like levels will have walls to keep you in bound, and the phrase wall is stop will be on the screen.
Yeah.
And so you could either make like rock is you or Baba is rock or something, and then it makes it so that you control both of the rocks and Baba at the same time, so you can crash the rocks into the water to get across. Or
Hmm.
you can just turn wall is Baba, and then every individual segment of wall on the screen becomes a Baba, and you move them all in unison, and usually you can just run the wall into a checkpoint at that point to win. There's like
Gotcha.
it's very interesting. It's definitely a brain scratcher, and I was happy to have friends with me that have already beaten the game to
Yeah.
show me some of the pitfalls. um
Well, that sounds good, man.
yeah, and then
Actually,
we
sounds like a pretty good time.
yeah, it's a good one. And then we also checked out this tabletop game called Tiny Towns. Have you heard of that one?
No, I'm gonna Google it right now, though.
It's super fun. You've got these, everybody starts off with a tile that is like a grid, and there are cards in the middle of the table, and each card is a type of building. So there's like church type building, a market type building, a house type building, a factory type building.
Oh, I see it.
And
That's
there's these little colored cubes that are resources, and you take turns naming a resource and then placing it on your grid. And once you've arranged those resources in the pattern to build that building, you can then trade those resources in and put that building on any one of the squares that you had aligned the resources on. So you have to build Tetris style by placing these resources, trying to get them in the right patterns to build buildings, to cover up as many of those spaces. And then each of the buildings have different point values that they're worth, or
mm-hmm.
work in conjunction with other buildings in certain ways. and there's a deck of cards for all the different building types, so that each round isn't exactly the same. Like you'll have one type of tavern in one game and one type of tavern in another game. They have a different resource pattern layout. They give different rewards. They interact with other buildings in different ways to keep it fresh. But I'd never played a game like that. It was very fun.
Yeah, it looks like it's about $38 at Target, 31 on Amazon, and 31 at Walmart. So yeah, I mean, it looks pretty interesting just from what I looked up.
I'm
Good
not,
stuff, man.
yeah, I'm not always the biggest tabletop gamer. Like, what's that giant freaking game that you have?
Catan?
No, the
Oh,
huge one that we opened.
oh, Gloomhaven.
Gloomhaven.
I
Like,
want to play
that's
that so
so
bad.
intimidating because it's like, it's all the complexity of D&D, but in like a much more limited rule set, probably,
Well, yeah,
with
but
so many moving pieces.
that one takes a while though, so that's an interesting one. Like, if you play Gloomhaven, from what I've heard, because I haven't booted up yet, or not booted up, but I haven't opened it up, and well, I've opened it up, but I haven't like physically like read the rules and done everything I need to and watched more videos on it. But with Gloomhaven specifically, that's a game where you have to dedicate your time to that. And it's not
Yeah.
we're going to play it one day and we're done. Like
Yeah.
it takes a while to play that. So that's more of one of two types of settings. Either you have a group of friends and you're in college and you go to each other's place every now and then. You're like, we're going to play this through. Or you're a young couple that has some friends and you can kind of leave crap around your house. Like with us, we don't leave stuff around like that. So for us to have like the board kind of stay set up during the course of a week is not ideal. Now, when we have a kid and that kid's older, there might be an option where I'm like, all right, let's play some Gloomhaven and let's keep this set up during that time frame. Like, I think that's okay, but I think it's really dependent on your lifestyle and how you play games. It's not a pick up and like we're done after tonight.
Well, I just mean like, so like a game like that is so intimidating that the barrier to entry is like apparent. But then like other games, they're just like not compelling enough for me to want to keep sitting there and playing. It's like poker. Like I can sit there and play like a few hands of poker, but like I can't sit there and play hours of poker. It just doesn't have what I need to capture me. And I find like that break off with a lot of board games. But this one actually, like the Tetrisiness of it and like trying to plan around things, and then like if you want to get really next level and look at your neighbor's sheet and try to like stop them getting the resources they need, there was a lot going on that I really liked.
Yeah.
And I'm a sucker for anything with cute little like buildings and stuff.
Yeah, there's a few games I could think of that you would like that have that type of design. Well, let's look at what we got this week, man. So first off, you can find this podcast episode on the podcast application you are listening to right now. Leave us a 5-star
Good job.
review. Yeah, thank you.
You already found it.
That's true, you did. But have you found the GameDeflators.com and our out-of-date website? No, you haven't. So you should definitely check that out. You can also find us on Twitter at Game Deflators and Instagram and Facebook at The Game Deflators for all of our fun pictures and articles and memes and everything else we post. Okay, so this week we are going to be looking at Abandoned. So the developer has responded to cancellation rumors, or really, if they have abandoned it. The next thing here is the best April Fool's jokes of the gaming industry. There were some good ones, man. I enjoyed it. And then E3 2022 is officially canceled, and then we'll follow that up by Star Tropics on the NES. So. First one here. I don't think we had to spend too much time on this one, but Abandoned developer responds to cancellation rumors. This is Gamer Rant, and it was Neville Lahiru, it looks like. I butchered his name, but at Gamer Rant. So essentially, we talked about this a while back. So that's the reason I threw it on this week, is that we were like, we'll have to keep up with this and see what happens. And this is a we'll see what happens portion of it. I don't even know what episode that was. But basically, they released some sort of like real-time experience thing on the PlayStation, and it's very lackluster. There haven't been any sort of updates. Even back when we first talked about this, there were no updates on this game. And today there's still no updates outside of them saying it has not been canceled. And I guess if we want, we can probably read the full tweet here. Do you have it in front of you, or do I have to Google it really quick?
It looks like it was like episode 146 was the last time we talked about it.
Oh, really? Okay. So that's a long time ago. It's almost a year ago. So I've actually got the tweet here. Let me just open it up.
Oh,
I got it here. So it says, "Dear community, recently we have been bombarded for requests and questions regarding the development status for Abandon. In regard to the latest rumors regarding Abandon being canceled, our response to this is that these rumors are false. We are working on the reveal via real-time experience app and online channels along with the prologue of the game. These were initially planned for Q1 2022, but unfortunately we weren't ready yet, and we understand in our development roadmap. Therefore, we have delayed the reveal and the release of Abandoned Prologue. We will release Abandoned Prologue when it's stable, good, and ready. We are aware of your frustration, and we deeply, sincerely apologize for this. We will continue to work on the game, and we will notify you when ready. Our apologies, Blue Box Game Studios." Um, Dude, they haven't had shit done like this whole time. Like, how do you not have anything done at this point?
well, what I was thinking was that, like, I mean, since this started, I think they've had enough time. They could have actually, if they only just started when these rumors come out, they probably could have put something together by now. So I mean, like, it can't be absolutely nothing unless it's as bad as, everybody says it was from the previous times. I think the last time we talked about this was when the news came out that it was like, oh yeah, we've gone back and looked at this guy's history. He's done this like 3 or 4 times before. But
Yeah.
I mean, I just think if nobody, because I saw somebody talk about this earlier this week, and I was
So
like, why are people bringing this up? If nobody brought this up, this guy would have just quietly went away, and we never would have heard about this again, I'm sure.
yeah. So get this. The first comment on here says, "Remember 8 months ago when you released that 5 second trailer on Twitter and then got everyone hyped to download your app, and then everyone downloaded 5 gigabytes of data just to see the same 5 second trailer, and then you guys dipped? Laughing my ass off. Good times."
That's exactly what
Like,
happened.
yeah, I know, it's great. Like, dude, just following this is it's hilarious just for this aspect. They have 65,000 followers apparently, by the way. And it says 1 hour ago, "Do you want us to show development footages of Abandoned Prologue?" And I'm just going to say, no, just work on a reveal. Everyone says yes, 68% for that. So, um, yeah. Oh, and then here's January 30th. "Be aware the Blue Box Game Studios YouTube channel has been hacked. We have received emails from various people that they did not receive a buy pre-order notice. Please do not open and do not transfer funds. It is not from us." So these guys are like so out of order, man. Like, come on, your YouTube channel gets hacked. You release essentially the same types of statements over the course of the last like several months, or really, what, 7 months, 8 months here. It's ridiculous. I think what this company needs, or this developer, is if they actually have something legitimate to get scooped up by like a Sony or Microsoft, and then the team is gutted, and then new developers come in with the concept that has been purchased for this to actually happen, because I don't think it's ever going to get released at this rate.
Well, but I mean, it's not an actual IP. It's just like, it's nonsense.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Well, it's a 5 second trailer, Ryan. So there is a concept in 5 seconds. So, speaking of April Fool's jokes, let's look at the top jokes in the industry. And this was Darren on Bonfuse. I guess I said that right. Dude, what is it with the interesting last names here that I can't pronounce this week? This is GameSpot. I always think GameStop and GameSpot. I always mix them up. So there were some good ones. I think obviously the NFTs was a good one. But was it Corsair, or which company? No, it was NZXT, I think, that
With the
did like
hand.
the hand, and it was basically like it actually looked legit for a little bit there, but it was basically like a handheld PC that had a slide out keyboard and a little mouse attachment. And then the best part about it was a RGB switch to be able to make the outside light up. I
Yeah.
laughed so hard at that, but it looked legit at first. I was like, this actually looks pretty sweet, like a nifty concept. And yeah, the whole thing was a April Fool's joke. That might have been my favorite, but the Nintendo NFTs was definitely good with the like, and like 19.99 a year, and it's like, wait, who put that decimal in there?
Yeah.
$1,999 a year. So
The
that
the way
it was
they
pretty good.
tied it in with, like, Nintendo's history and, like, some product, like, at first it looked like, I mean, obviously it was fake, but I mean, the legitimacy of how they tried to skew it, I could totally see. a worse Nintendo doing something like that. I
I
always have
could,
fun on April Fools with all these things. It's always like be on your guard because you're always assuming everything's gonna be BS.
yeah. No, I tried to get some people in my company the other day, and I told them I was resigning from my role and applying with April 1 Technologies. And a few people were like, wait, what? What's going on?
The
Like, how do you not catch that?
Let's see. So on this list, what else was there? The Among Us horse mode. I'm not a big Among Us person, but I mean, it was a cute little trailer thing.
Yeah,
Pokemon Go. I guess there's a bunch of dittos that were out. I like this Tunic Fox Pro Skater. That's cute.
that was pretty cool, actually.
I like the Corsair with the single button and all the features. Yeah, sign me
and
up. I
and
want that
and
one.
they go in and like map out the like one keyboard or like with quick adaptive reflexes and whatnot, and like just the way that they kind of position everything was like this top of the line video for one key, and then being able to switch it out for other exclusive keys. But I think the one I didn't like as much because it didn't have as real as a vibe to it was the Razor Hypersense suit. So it
Yeah.
was like feel every bone crushing move, and it shows the guy like beat the fuck up from like all these games, and then it shows Dark Souls or something, and he gets slashed. It's like real time, like flesh wounds. That was pretty good too, but I didn't think that one was as good in the sense because it didn't have that like you knew it was an April Fool's Day
Yeah.
joke.
Yeah.
You know,
It was very apparent.
the other ones had like that very legitimate type of vibe going for them where you're like, this is so stupid, like it can't be real, but it's obviously April Fool's.
I don't know what's supposed to be funny about Fraser Pinball. I would absolutely buy Fraser Pinball.
I know, like I would totally buy Fraser Pinball. I didn't see that to be funny at all. What else did they have here? And obviously this isn't all of them.
Yeah, I
Um,
saw Spawnwave this week. He did a really good one opening up with a Sony buys Konami headline. And I was like, I don't know about that, but he did really good job trying to sell it. So that was a fun way to wake up.
well, and then the Bug Snacks game, we're like, oh, we're so sick of bugs, so we've removed the bugs from Bug Snacks, and now it's just an aisle of small snacks. I'm like, I see it, like I get it, but it feels more like a dad joke than an April Fool's joke.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, that was interesting. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Let us know in the comments and on social media what your favorite April Fool's Day joke was for the gaming industry. I thought there was some good stuff.
Or
I
if
enjoyed it.
there was one from past years that you really liked, let us know about
Yeah,
that one
that
too.
too. Or if you just have an April Fool's Day joke you pulled on somebody, that also works. All right. I guess keeping in the theme with April Fools, E3 is officially canceled. So as far as 2022 is concerned, so not permanently, as far as we know, it's just 2022. This is Kate Gray at Nintendo Life. So a couple things here, and I saw you and I have similar feedback on our notes here. Um, I'll dig in and just be like, I think E3 is done. Like, I think that's it. There's no digital event this year, which I can understand if they're thinking from a travel perspective and there's still being bans from different countries and certain countries not wanting to go out and travel. I can see that as a reason to not do an event in person. However, most of the world does not have restrictions in their own, countries.
Concerts are
So,
back on.
yeah,
There's a lot
concerts
of
are
big
back
events
on.
happening. I just think that the planning stages for this just kind of it needs too long to ramp up. Like it doesn't just take like a month or two to put together some of these demos and stuff. Like it takes real work and man hours to come up with something that, isn't supposed to be ready for another 2 years and make it, playable and polished and something people want to buy
Well, I
now
mean,
while having to have developed in COVID.
they could have done some sort of events. I mean, they canceled what 2 years in a row now. They've technically canceled,
Mhm.
and they could have done a hybrid event. Like I just went to a conference a couple weeks ago. It's like the largest conference in the industry that I work in. It's the largest conference that's around, and that specific conference was hybrid. So you could have attended in person, which they had like half the normal attendance, but then they had however many thousands of people attend online virtually and do certain things. So you look at companies like Limited Run, who has their like, virtual presentation. You have Nintendo who does, their virtual presentations, and Sony with their state of plays and all of that good stuff that's occurred over the last few years. How E3 could not manage to have a backup plan to either do a hybrid based conference in the US with US based representatives in other countries that are willing to go in, along with a digital experience for people. I just don't get it. Like when you're supposed to be
Well,
that type of conference, plan for something. So
I
that's where
think
I think this is it. Like I don't
yeah.
see it happening next year.
I think the truth probably is that they couldn't get enough people on board with it. Like, so in this article, they also talk about Jeff Keighley and the Summer Games Fest, and that's been picking up steam. And a big difference between Summer Game Fest and E3 is that it's a lot more all at once. Where E3 is like, okay, this is like I'm going to plan my week around this. It's going to be several hours a day. Most people aren't getting, oh my god, I'm getting this news right now. Most people are getting these in like a sizzle reel later when they're off work, or in a video the next morning while they're getting ready or whatever. Most people aren't watching E3 at 11:30 when it's airing. So
Yeah.
I think that, you know, the pull that Summer Games Fest is getting is actually going to help drive the nail into the coffin, because if those people find a better way to offload that content, like Just Dance loves to show off people dancing on stage and having fun at E3. Like that's a big part of their thing. But the amount of money and time and production value that it takes to do that, as opposed to showing a 45-second clip at Games Fest, one of those is actually probably going to be watched live by more people. And ultimately the trailer is what people are going to watch on YouTube on repeat for the next few months while they wait for your game, or next few years while they wait for the next trailer. So I
Well,
just think that if they can't nail something this year, too many people will go over to Games Fest, have a great showing with it, and then next year it's like, why do E3 when we already did Games Fest last year and it went well?
and that's the notes that I have here as well. Like, there's no room for two industry events of this nature, of this size, during the same time of year. So, unless E3 is moving to a different time frame, it's just not going to work. And so, Summer Games Fest has really filled that void. I mean, I'm just looking at the 2021 partners. You have Amazon Games, Blizzard, 2K was there, um, Bandai Namco, Netflix, EA, PlayStation, Sega, Prime Gaming, Warner Brothers, Wizards of the Coast, Xbox, Ubisoft. Like the list goes on, man. Like that's just 2021 partners. And the fact, if it was a success, which it seems like it was, 2022 is only going to be that much bigger. That's it. Like I think E3 is done. I can't, like, unless they scale back and change what they're looking to accomplish on an annual basis and maybe move their dates, nobody's going to care about E3 moving forward. And I think that's, we talked about it last year. There really isn't a need for E3. Like, did you miss E3 last year? I
Yeah.
didn't.
I mean, I did. I always love E3. Like it's always something that I try to make a priority. But I
But
mean,
was it necessary when when the big three and all these other companies are doing their own thing virtually? Like, is it fully needed?
it's so the thing is, it's a shell of what it used to be. So it's kind of sad parading it around now. Like, I mean, even the content, like the people that I used to love watching cover E3 don't cover E3 with the same enthusiasm that they used to. So it's taken a lot of the wind out of the sails. And honestly, I'd rather see E3 just go away and have room for something to replace it. Because I mean, nothing lasts forever.
Well, I mean, that's where Summer Games Fest comes in. You've got the Game Awards. I don't. Do we still have PAX? I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
follow
PAX
too
is
deeply.
still a thing.
Yeah, so we still got PAX then, and then on top of that, you got the Tokyo Game Show Expo that happens every year. So I mean, that's four major events that are happening on an annual basis. Like, do you really need E3? And that's on top of all of the state of plays that Sony does, all of the Nintendo directs. I don't remember what the hell Microsoft calls theirs, but Microsoft does their own things, their showcases. All these companies are doing different things. I don't think. I mean, come on, you've even got premium edition games with Barry. Like they do their own direct as well. You
Mhm.
know, companies are finding ways to reach their consumers without the need of an E3. So I don't think it's necessary.
Yeah.
Um, okay, diving into our inflation deflation of Star Tropics.
Woo!
This was developed by Nintendo, so Nintendo Research and Development Team. Locomotive Corporation also developed this. It was published by Nintendo. It was directed by Genyo Takeda, and then it was released in December of 1990. It is an action-adventure, kind of top-down RPG style game, and the general reception of this game was between like a 7 and an 8 roughly when it came out. I am surprised that there are 0 errors, Ryan, in this week's inflation deflation overview. Normally you like to screw me over on that.
I did my best this time.
Yeah,
I guess I could have capitalized the T in tropics. Actually, I think it's it's one word, but both are capital.
Yeah, luckily that doesn't get conveyed over a podcast, so I think we're all good.
Well, it has been now.
Well, damn it, Ryan.
So Star Tropics, this is one I've heard about this game for a long time. I've definitely seen other people play this and the sequel, like in Let's Plays and stuff. And I never really seen other games that look quite like this. And I think a lot of it is just like the pronounced jumping to me. Like when you're in these dungeons moving around, you're like jump, jump, jump. And I've like never seen like a top down, like I feel like I'm playing Frogger as a human.
Yeah.
It's
I got that for sure when I was playing.
It's a funny like kind of thing to make it stand out to me. But I know that this game does a lot in the same way that like Earthbound does to kind of make it like more down to earth, where it's like you're fighting with a yo-yo, you're just some guy, you're trying to like save your uncle on this island. Like there are aliens and stuff, but it's kind of more a little bit grounded in some of the things you're doing. I guess you do get a torch pretty quick. There's giant snakes and stuff, but I mean there's monsters and stuff in Earthbound.
Well, and you can throw the torches, so it's kind of nice, or fireballs or whatever you want to call it. So that's kind of good.
So we didn't play this original hardware either.
Oh, I did.
I played on the Switch.
Well, I played the original game on a Retron because my Nintendo, for whatever reason, I don't know what it is. Like my actual like AC adapter, I have to plug it into a totally separate plug that's near my arcade cabinet. So I'm like, I don't know why it requires a direct connection to my wall versus what do you call it? Power strip. So really weird that I can't do it that way. Well, I guess I'll dive into here really quick. So you played on the Switch. I played it on a Retron, but I played with the original game itself. So from a comparison standpoint to original hardware, I mean, I'm playing on an NES controller and all that. It just happens to be on a Retron. So which was nice because the scan lines and all that type of stuff, like it's upgraded. So it's not that like original look. It's more of a clean look for the game. So I liked that portion. But you play as Mike, who is a baseball player who is visiting his uncle, Dr. Jones. And you go to this island called Coral Cola, and it turns out Dr. Jones has been abducted by some group, and you're trying to find him basically. And so the first chapter kind of has you diving into exploring this, village of Coral Cola, and going into a dungeon right off the bat and fighting enemies with a yo-yo, like Ryan said, and snakes and bats and rats and everything else you could think of, culminating to a battle with a giant fire-breathing snake, pretty much. And so I didn't get too far because I got a little bit of a late start. I got to the snake. I didn't beat the snake because I'm just not that good at games like this. And I ran out of the torches or fireballs. So I wasn't able to, like at one point I had 45 as I was going through it, and I died to some snake and ended up, like not having enough fireballs to defeat him. And it would require me to kind of jump around. And I was already having trouble with the controls because there's no like, there's no quarter movement on the D-pad for this game. So you have to like have intent. Like I want to move down, I have to press down. There's no, I want to press right and then down, because it just will not register.
Go back to center.
Yeah, it would not register. So like if I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh crap, I'm looking right, I need to go down. Like I would try to do that, like that quarter move, and it just would not allow me to go down. I had to like purposely press down and then purposely press left. Like it would not work otherwise. And so that made it a pain in the ass when it came to certain enemies, because like the bats, for example, they're flying from all over. So you're trying to hit one. It's like, oh, I got to get out of the way really quick. I'm just so used to having that D-pad movement, the way that I was trying to do it, that I just kept getting hit by bats. It was so ridiculous. But I got to the end of a dungeon and died to the snake, hit it a few times. I mean, I got enough for the game, and I've seen other people play it before. So it's not like I went into this having not, like I've played it actually. Like I've played levels for people and just kind of like on the Switch, as a matter of fact. And just kind of played through it. And I've enjoyed that little bit that I've played in the past, but starting it fresh from the beginning gave me a different perspective on it, of course. And I think it's a good game. I mean, I do like it. I think graphically for the NES, like it's fantastic how it looks.
Yeah.
So
It's got a
it's a
lot of different like perspectives. So it'll have like that Final Fantasy overworld.
yeah.
It has like some first person like, you know,
When you're talking to like the
perspective
chief.
talking to a person. It's
Yeah.
got that top down Zelda style dungeon
Yeah.
perspective. So there's a lot going on. I think that I had a really good time with this. I don't think I would have had a really good time with this if I was playing it at your place on the Retron or on original hardware. I think for me personally, going back and playing games like this on the Switch with the rewind function and all of those, added things, I think that that's the best way to revisit some of these, especially for me. But
I mean, the game
really,
is, it can be kind of difficult for people. I mean, for me, jumping in, like I said, with that hardware aspect, it was kind of difficult. Not necessarily the game itself. The game itself is actually quite easy. It really was that hardware component, and really the accessories and trying to actually play it was a little bit frustrating for me. But I think if I were to continue playing this game, I wouldn't have an issue with that over time, and I would continue to like truly enjoy it on the original hardware.
well, the good news for this game is that no matter which way you want to play it, it's pretty easy to get your hands on. So taking a look numbers wise on this one, complete in box, we're looking at 5734. That peaked at 6428 back in March of 2022. Currently, that is trending down. Loose, you can get it though for 960. That peaked at 1560 back in September of 2021, and that is now trending down as well. So I mean, under $10 for this, that's a good game for $10. Actually, I think that of a lot of the games that we play,
Yeah.
this is one that I would instantly be like, yeah, if you saw this like for $10, definitely buy it.
Yeah. And seeing the trending down is actually kind of a good sign. I do wonder if it's like a correction in the gaming collecting market, and if we're going to see, prices start to plummet a bit. Um, Main reason I say that is because I look at my game collection. I get like Price Charting sends a report every month that says like, here's what your collection's valued at and whatnot. My collection is actually down several $1,000s over the last couple months.
I mean,
So
that's good for the industry
I
if
mean,
you
in
want to keep picking
total,
stuff up for cheap.
yeah, in total, I think I've seen like a 5 or 6% drop in total collection value. So I'll keep us up to date on that one because that every month that comes in. So I'll get to see like what the actual value of the collection is based on what it was. I mean, in this, I haven't really added anything to my price charting list in, I don't know, 4 or 5 months or something like that. So I saw it peak and then now it's kind of trickling down a little bit. So I'm curious where it's going to like kind of flatten and stay for some time. And that's not necessarily because I'll have a lot of new games that have gone up in value. It really has been like certain like Super Nintendo and Nintendo has gone down in value for me.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. Well, as far as inflation, deflation is concerned, at 960 for this game, um, I'm not going to say that because I think because it's low, it should be higher. That it's deflated. I think it's deflated predominantly because at 1560 back in September, if we were to have done this game back then, I would have said this game was worth $15 back
Mm-hmm.
then in September. The fact that it's 960 right now, I think is a great price to jump in and play this game. And then of course, having it on the Switch is one of the games of that you could play through the Nintendo Online service for free. I think that that's
Not
also a good
free
option.
for $20 a year.
$20 a year, but technically free. So, because you're gonna get more games. So let's just say, Ryan, there's what between Super Nintendo and Nintendo, there's like what 40 games on there.
Oh, I think it's way more than that now.
Okay, so let's just say for the cheap price of 50 cents a year,
Yeah.
you could play it.
Well, you could
on
definitely
on
beat
the
this
Switch.
game in the 7-day trial, and if you want to do that, we'll just call it free.
There you go. So it's free, Ryan.
Everything's
All right.
free if you can do it in the 7-day trial.
Yeah, just get like multiple accounts and just keep
Who
doing
is
free trials.
actually paying for Paramount Plus? I swear everybody's just gonna wait for Halo to be all the way out, and then just use their Game Passes, giving everybody like a free month of Paramount. So just,
I mean,
wait till that's all out and then cash that in.
or you could just not watch it on Paramount Plus, and if you know how you can watch it.
Yeah.
My brother has Paramount Plus. Funny enough, I don't know why, but he
It's
has
a mountain of entertainment.
It's so bad, dude.
That's the joke.
I'm gonna have to learn my dad jokes from you. But yeah, so I think we both agree. Is this one deflated at its current price? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, cool. All right, well, I don't know what we're playing next week. We're recording in person next week, so we'll find something on my shelf. Whether that's, I don't know, maybe we play a PS5
I'll
game.
do a blind at random.
Maybe we do a PS5 game.
Will you even have any, or are you going to sell all your games before then?
Well, I have 3 games, first off, so thank you very much. And then, didn't you say Astro's Playroom is on there?
Yeah, but that's not like a retail product.
Doesn't matter. Is it worth it, Ryan? Is it inflated? Is it deflated?
Is Astro's Playroom worth the $800 buy-in price of a PS5?
I mean,
just
if
about.
you want
I
to
played it a
experience
couple
it.
times. It's fun.
Okay, so you've already played it. All right, we'll think of something. Maybe I'll go pick up a PS5 game today at like Walmart or something.
There you go.
Yeah. All right. Well, this has been episode 177 of the Game Deflators Podcast. My name's John.
I'm Ryan.
And thanks for listening. Cue to music. Do-do-do.